Welcome to the first ever JPTV newscast.
We are your anchors, Bailey Graves
and Abby Mangum.
We are honored for this opportunity to bring Prep's new weekly news onto the screen.
And now to our first segment, the Back to School recap. The beginning of the 2020-2021 Jackson Prep school year brought about many changes for everyone. The biggest change for all the students was being able to come back to an on-campus learning after months away due to the coronavirus-induced shutdown after spring break. After months of Zoom school and being at home, the routine of school was a big change in many students' eyes. Because we are still in the middle of a pandemic, there are many strict rules in place to try and help the student body stay healthy. Students must have masks on at all times except for lunch. Each desk must be wiped down before a student sits in it. Students are not allowed in the building until 7:55 in the morning, and not at all during lunch and activity. Lastly, students must stay 6 feet apart when they are outside interacting with other students. Although these rules seem strict, they are designed to keep students safe and in school.
There are also many changes to the staff this year. Along with a large mix of teachers, faculty, and new coaches, another change comes in the form of the cafeteria. The new cafeteria service is Lexington Independence, and we will hear more about them later in the show. Lastly, a staple of Back to School was changed: One School Mini Books. This activity used to be a quiz and a discussion, but this year it was just a discussion to facilitate communication between the students and the teachers who read the same book. Unfortunately, the tradition of ice cream on Patriot Avenue was canceled, but Rice Krispie treats were provided instead. Although this year may look different than many, we believe it will be a great year here at Jackson Prep. Now, we will be right back after this quick commercial break.
Welcome to our first segment on our special two-part series on the Dining Commons. I think we can all agree lunch is our favorite period of the day. One of the major changes to this school year has been the lunchroom. Valley Foods has been recently bought out by Lexington's Independent. Not only has this affected the cafeteria, but COVID has also had a huge impact on our daily lunch. Due to COVID and the prepackaged lunches, many have had mixed feelings towards our new meal options. It's a first come, first serve for a meal, and they might not always have what you want. The cafeteria is serving and making meals while trying to get everyone in and out of the lunchroom as safe as possible. We want to thank the cafeteria staff for all they do each day to keep us fed and for making some of the adjustments that we have asked of them.
One of the issues that COVID has affected us is doing the to-go plates and things, and we can't serve what exactly everybody wants and everything, and I know that's a huge bummer. But we have to put everything in to-go plates so you guys can grab it and go, so nobody's sticking around each other for very long in that closed area. So that's probably the biggest way it's affected us. It's really the only option we have, really. We could do a 3-compartment clear, but it doesn't insulate heat. It doesn't keep it hot enough, long enough. So the styrofoam does a better job at keeping it warm on the inside. Last year, we had a break period we would have a couple of groups come in. We have like a 45-minute, 30-minute break period, and then another group would come in. But this year, everybody's coming in back to back to back, and that's become a challenge of how much do I need to go ahead and prepare, because during that break period last year, we could go and do some things to make sure that next group can have everything that they need. But now we have to make sure everything is ready at the very beginning.
The lunchrooms and students have not been the only ones affected by COVID-19 this year, but our teachers have also had to deal with our changes and rules that have come and affected us with COVID-19. I talked to returning teacher Dr. Smith and a new member to the Prep family, Ms. McCowan, on their thoughts on the year thus far.
You have to be mindful that on any given day somebody may be dialing in remotely.
For math class, I think that students, especially that struggle in math, that it's best to be face-to-face, but I also believe that we at Jackson Prep are doing a great job in the idea of if we go remote, how we make that happen.
And so I have to make sure that I've opened up a link on Zoom or Google Classroom, which is what we've been using lately. And sometimes things that we would do in class that I would hand out or that we would do on a piece of paper, I have to think about getting to the students who are dialing in remotely. The fact that so much of what I do in class is driven by the class discussion, that students who are not in the class, if there are more than one or two or three, they're all on a screen that I have sitting at a desk with another student to turn the screen so that they can participate in the discussion.
Remembering to turn Zoom on for my online students. There have been plenty of times that I get 10 or 15 minutes into class and remember I never started Zoom, and I have 2 students that are at home right now. And then you kind of get in the routine of who's going to be there, and then when we have others that end up going distance to be remote, remembering now in that class that I also have to start the Zoom. So that's been my biggest challenge.
Being mindful of spraying down the desks and washing our hands and distancing, having done this for so long, I think this is going to last in our consciousness. One of the nice things about working at a place like Jackson Prep is we're full of professionals who have taught for a long time, and even those who haven't taught for very long have a good support system, and we're pretty adaptable. Students have all been very helpful and understanding of the changes that we have to do these days. I think there are going to be some good things to come out of it.
And now we go to sports with Thaxton Birch.
Welcome back. I'm Thaxton Birch, your sports anchor here at JPTV. Let's jump right into the action with a short interview from the athletic director of Jackson Prep, Will Crosby. What are your thoughts on how game day went versus Heritage at home with all these COVID protocols put into place?
Well, I thought it went great. It seemed like everybody adhered to what they needed to adhere to. You know, there are a lot of restrictions, and some of them are inconvenient. But I thought overall it went really well. The main thing that I took from that game was how great the students did. We were so pleased that a lot of the students got to come, and we were great. We were so happy to see how great they did as far as social distancing, staying in the stands, keeping their masks on. Really happy for them and happy they were able to come.
All right, and how do you think future games will go as far as attendance-wise and social distancing?
Well, I hope it continues to trend the way it's been trending, right? It went from 2 per participant, now we're at 25%. Which allows us to have a few more at each game, and hopefully it will continue to trend in that direction where we continue to have more and more that are allowed to come. But of course, that's all going to depend on how we as a community continue to handle these restrictions and continue the things that we need to do to keep our community safe and COVID free. So it depends, but it's certainly trending in the right way.
Certainly some great words of encouragement for the future. The football games the past few weeks have been running smoothly for the Patriots, with Jackson Prep's Riley Maddox shining thus far under center, having thrown for 129 yards and 1 touchdown. The dual-threat quarterback also scrambled for 60 more yards and tacked on 2 more touchdowns, all versus Heritage Academy. Against Simpson, number 7 threw a wet ball for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns, all before halftime. Meanwhile, Matt Jones put up some quick numbers with 132 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns and only 5 rushing attempts, and 124 yards with 2 touchdowns and 6 attempts on the ground, and 1 through the air, giving him a trifecta of touchdowns on his birthday against Simpson. Happy birthday, Matt. As for the defensive side of the ball, the Patriots combined for 6 interceptions, having 3 of them returned for a touchdown, as well as keeping the trenches clear, with the linebackers combining for 5 sacks in 2 games. And for some more news about other football teams in the MAIS 6A division, leading up to Week 4, MRA is 3-0 in the number 1 spot with an upset win over Deion Sanders' team, Trinity Christian out of Cedar Hill, Texas. Coming at the number 2 spot, your very own Jackson Prep Patriots have swept through their first 2 games, earning them a 2-0 record with a combined score of 90 points and only giving up 34. Jackson Academy suffered a devastating loss to Leake Academy and MRA, bringing their record to 2-1, putting them at the number 3 spot. PCS follows closely behind at 2-1. As for upcoming games, Jackson Prep's game versus Oak Forest was canceled due to COVID-19 concerns, but will return, having to travel to Natchez, Mississippi to take on the ACCS Rebels as they try to get revenge after a 37-0 loss to Prep last year. That's all the time we have here in the sports section, so catch us next week with updates on more football and other sports right here on JPTV. Now let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Abby with her segment on Question on the Street.
Here at Jackson Prep, we strive for excellence and greatness. We take pride in our athletes, our program's histories, our facilities, our state championships, and our all sports awards. The Booster Club allows our athletes great benefits. With the Booster Club, we are able to remodel facilities such as the new locker room under the stand or the new women's weight room. We would like you to join the Booster Club today at jacksonprep.org.
Jackson Prep. It's a place for artists, a place for scholars,
a place for athletes,
an all-around amazing place
to be who you are and all that you aspire to be.
Discover your Jackson Prep possibilities.
Join us for a tour.
Welcome back to our Question on the Street series. Our team has come up with a couple questions, and we went around the school to hear from you guys. We got some great yet interesting feedback we think y'all would enjoy to hear.
Jeffrey, what is your favorite weird food combination?
I would have to say it is marshmallows and spaghetti, but instead of the spaghetti sauce, we will use Nutella.
Deez, what is your favorite smell?
Josh Oden.
Katie, what's your favorite weirdest food combination?
Pizza and spaghetti.
Mia, what's your favorite smell?
My favorite smell is coconut.
Seth, what is your favorite weirdest food combination?
I really like cheese and Oreos.
Kayla, what is your favorite smell?
Sharpies.
Whoop, what is your favorite weirdest food combination?
Steak and maple syrup.
D, what is your favorite weirdest food combination?
Macaroni and ketchup.
Margie, what is your favorite smell?
Vanilla.
Parker, what's your favorite weirdest food combination?
Milk and ice.
JK, what's your favorite weirdest food combination?
Definitely pickles and ketchup.
Thank y'all for that interesting insight.
And thank you for tuning into JPTV.
We hope to have more broadcasts and stories to bring you in the future.
We are Bailey Graves,
Abby Mangum,
And Thaxton Birch,
signing off.